Today is March 22nd. Today, we see the stolen miracle. Where does the stolen miracle happen? It's in Mark chapter 5. We're going to read half of the story again like we did the last time. We'll start in 21 and read to 34. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a great crowd gathered around him. He was by the sea. Then one of the leaders of the synagogue, named Jairus, came, and when he saw him, fell at his feet and pleaded with him repeatedly, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live." So he went with him, and a large crowd followed him and pressed in on him. Now, there was a woman who'd been suffering from a flow of blood for 12 years. She had endured much under many physicians and had spent all that she had. She was no better. Rather, she grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. For she said, "If I but touch his cloak, I'll be made well." Immediately, the flow of blood stopped, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Immediately aware that the power had gone forth from him, Jesus turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my cloak?" His disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing in on you. How can you say, 'Who touched me?'" But he looked around all the more to see who had done it. The woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, fell down before him and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." Beautiful story here. We have a story of a woman with some form of bleeding. Apparently, the bleeding was internal bleeding. We don't know if this was a severe ulcer or perhaps a cancer. She had received treatment from doctor for years and grew no better. She hears about Jesus. She hears that he heals, and she thinks, if I could only talk to Jesus, he would heal me. But there's the problem. She doesn't know Jesus, and she doesn't know any of his friends, so she can't arrange a private meeting. She's a woman, so she can't approach him publicly. So she says, what I'll do, I'll wait till he passes by and I'll sneak up behind him and just touch his cloak. I believe that'll be enough to heal me. And indeed it was. She comes up behind Jesus and touches what is most likely his prayer shawl. Well, Jesus stops and says, "Who touched me?" And now the woman comes. Luke says she comes in fear and trembling. Why? Why would she be afraid? She's just been healed. Because she believes she has stolen something from Jesus. She stole the miracle. And now Jesus is going to give her back her illness. She comes to Jesus, tells him the truth, and Jesus says, "No, I'm not giving you back anything. Instead, I wanted to meet you. Your faith has made you whole." She wasn't afraid any longer. In Psalm 62, we see faith making us whole. Let's read Psalm 62. We'll come back and talk about it later.
Psalm 62, New Revised Standard Version. To the leader, according to Jeduthun, a psalm of David. For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall never be shaken. How long will you assail a person? Will you batter your victim? All of you, as you would a leaning wall, a tottering fence. Their only plan is to bring down a person of promise. They take pleasure in falsehoods. They bless with their mouths, but inwardly they cause curse. For God alone my soul waits in silence, for my hope is from him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken. On God rests my deliverance and my honor. My mighty rock, my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Those of low estate are but a breath. Those of high estate are a delusion. In the balances they go up. They are together lighter than a breath. Put no confidence in extortion, and set no vain hope on robbery. If riches increase, do not set your heart on them. Once God has spoken, twice have I heard this, that power belongs to God, and steadfast love belongs to you, O Lord. For you repay all according to their work.
Psalm 62 tells us that salvation is from God alone. The woman with the issue of blood understood this very well. She knew that only God could save her, and Jesus had a special connection to God. So what do we do with this today? Well, what do you need? This woman had an issue of blood. What do you need? Present it to Jesus today. Ask God to deliver you. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. New Hope Church is at 5307 West Fairview Road. If you live in the Greenwood, Indiana area and you're looking for a church, come visit us. Our Sunday morning service starts at 10 a.m. I would love to see you there.